What's up? A to Z Sports here live on a Thursday. Going to have a good show talking about Will Levis and his practice yesterday. Apologies for being late. I'll discuss that after the official open. But I'm just as frustrated about being late as you guys are. Little tech issues here this morning, but going to put my happy face on from like Mr. Potato Head and have a good show this morning. So Sam, welcome in. Going to have a good one talking about Will Levis and what he did at practice yesterday and what he said after practice yesterday and what the Titans are doing to coach him through some of these catastrophic mistakes that he's had through the first 3+ games of his second season in the NFL. We'll hear about the injury update, hear how Levis is feeling, see how he's thrown. It's been a while since we've had to show practice video on the show, but we've got it, and we'll talk about what we think Will Levis is doing with that right AC joint injury in his shoulder. And then it's the magic bucket. So, Sam, welcome in. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. Happy face on, not my angry eyes, as Dad the Bone got. Like, I had to make a dad joke this morning to make myself feel better. But let's get it going, Sam. Welcome in.
Yeah, let's do it. Got a interesting show today because I think we maybe had the best press conference from Will Levis this season so far yesterday. So a lot of good stuff coming out of that to talk about. And, a big week for the Titans coming up with the division rival coming into town in the Indianapolis Colts. It's going to be a good show. Before we jump into it, make sure everybody shares the show. So if you're watching on Facebook, hit the share button in the bottom right corner. If you're watching on YouTube, take the YouTube link, send it to a group chat, send it to a friend, let them know that A to Z Sports is live. You can retweet the show link as well on Twitter X at ATOZ Sports. So get the word out there, and don't forget to leave a like on the show. Even though we're late, you still love us. So hit a like, and let's get this thing going here on a Thursday morning.
Yep, we'll do it officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports, powered as always by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Sam Phelan, one of our Titans reporters for A to Z Sports.com. And we are Nashville's on-demand sports network, going live weekday mornings at 8 a.m. Central Time-ish, but also live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show on our Twitter X timeline. That's at A to Z Sports. Also, hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans content. You got to thank our sponsors. They make it happen for us, and they help out all of you. Like Wilson County Hyundai, WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Make them a part of your new car buying process right there, WilsonCountyHyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Farm Bureau Health Plans. Get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans at fbhp.com/ATOZ. And TDOT, be part of the solution to end littering across the state by joining their campaign, and see how you can help by visiting NobodyTrashesTennessee.com. So a couple things off the top. My fault for being late in a way. But normally, as we pull the Sam teased, the best Will Levis press conference, maybe the best in-season press conference from the Titans facility all year in this young season. And so we had to pull the video, right? But no Will Levis presser on the Titans YouTube, which is where we usually get it. So I had to go to the Titans Facebook, and the file was apparently ginormous. Took 15 minutes to download. Then my editing software couldn't accept it, and it led to me being as frustrated as I was in the fourth quarter of Tennessee losing to Arkansas on Saturday, and needing to call Easton for some help, and having to use the screen record function that takes a long time. So that is where I have been this morning. I am frustrated. Again, no angry eyes in Mr. Potato Head today. Happy face, happy face. A couple other things too. The Hurricane Milton in Florida. I hope everybody that was dealing with that last night, anybody that have a buddy from college down there, was actually in D.C. after evacuating. But look, really, really rough, scary stuff down there. Another hurricane in less than 2 weeks, I think, in those same areas. So the Tampa, St. Pete, Bradenton, Sarasota, and Fort Myers area getting absolutely drilled last night again. So I hope everybody's okay. And then I did see a comment. Somebody said they missed Survivor last night. Sam survived. So we go in to another week with Sam on the island. So Sam, welcome in. I'm glad we're going to have a good show talking Will Levis and Titans this morning.
Yeah. Hey, it's going to be a fun show. I feel like we kind of had this little lull, right, with the bye week where there wasn't a ton of Titan stuff to talk about, just on this idea that it was a lot of wait and see, right? Like the win in Miami was great, but it was like, all right, let's wait and see how they bounce back. But my level of intrigue in this team is as high as it has been all season heading into Indianapolis because, we've talked about it a couple times here on the show, but we've done some scoreboard watching around the league. We've seen how wide open some of the league can be. And I'm curious to see what Will Levis looks like. I felt like Levis was starting to improve every week leading up to the game in Miami. Obviously, the rough start with the interception against the Dolphins and then the shoulder injury, which then brings in Mason Rudolph. And you kind of had, an abrupt halt to your Will Levis storyline that was building for a few weeks. So we all kind of get it back on the right track, and a win against the Colts this week, I think, would definitely instill a lot of confidence in everybody that this Titans team is far, far from dead. It's a huge week, a huge weekend, and a big week of practice as we assess where Will Levis is physically.
For sure. And I've been very loud and clear about what I would consider doing if I were the Titans, which is letting Will Levis have an extra 7 days of rest with the AC joint sprain in his throwing shoulder on the right side, and have Mason Rudolph go out there and get a game, a very winnable game. We'll talk about some Colts injuries towards the end of the show if we have time, with a key player already being ruled out for Indianapolis. I think the Titans can win this game with either Will Levis or Mason Rudolph. So my thought was, hey, protect your guys' long-term evaluation period for the rest of the season and give them an extra 7 days. But that was before we had heard or seen Will Levis after the injury. So let's go in chronological order. You guys got to watch Will Levis at practice yesterday before hearing him talk and talking to him. Yeah. So here is 52 seconds of Will Levis throwing the football with his throwing shoulder AC joint sprain. This is the first time throwing since Monday night in Miami, which is now just under 2 weeks ago. So Sam, kind of what was your thought being there in person and watching Levis go out there and work?
I didn't really think that there was any issues. I mean, I see Wesley's already in the comments saying videos of Levis practice, he still looks like he's in pain. And I mean, I don't think videos show pain, which is part of like the issue here is Will Levis able to play through the pain? But one of the things that we did learn after practice was that Will's ability to play is not really a factor on whether or not he's in pain. It's whether or not he's able to do his job. And how he looked at practice the other day looked like a guy who's comfortable doing his job still. He was throwing on the run, throwing both to the left and right, throwing from different arm slots, and all of which seemed to be pretty accurate. He had good zip on the football. He did not appear to be in any pain from what we saw, and he said afterwards that he was feeling pretty good. So, watching Will Levis throw was the big question mark that most of the people in the Titans media world had leading up to practice yesterday. It did not take all but a couple of minutes for us to look at each other and go, yeah, looks good to me. He's going to play on Sunday.
Yeah. And Stiz on YouTube says his mechanics do look a little odd. I mean, in my opinion, that's what Will Levis looks like in any month of the year.
I don't think that looked different. I mean, you can play it again, but.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly, I will play it again because we can talk through it. But I have not been in a Titans practice since training camp closed. This could easily be a practice from August 14th, and I would not know the difference. It looks sunny out there. There's still green on the trees. I couldn't tell what month it is, but I mean, this is how he throws.
Quick release is that's how he throws the ball. Like he has that little kind of sidearm 3/4 sort of action to his arm when he throws.
Especially when it's underneath, right? Like when he's making throws low, short, underneath, especially to the right. I've noticed here, this one might be it, he kind of whips it around a little bit. I think this looks completely normal to me when it comes to Will Levis at a football practice. So I think that's a good thing. That's a very good thing if you're the Titans. Now let's hear Will Levis himself after that practice talking about his first time throwing since injuring his throwing shoulder at the Dolphins a couple Mondays ago.
I mean, we'll see. Obviously, this is my first time throwing since coming back from it. Expect to be a little sore, but gonna have to probably just work through it and just see where I'm at tomorrow.
Little 1 to 10 on where the pain is right now, or is it hard to do?
It's hard right now, but yeah, it's hard to put a number to it.
Well, what did you feel like the bye week did for you, just to maybe re-look back at some things? And obviously you've got the rest on your body, but more just to kind of assess your play up to this point.
Yeah, I mean, just looking through what I did good, what I didn't do so good, and how I can improve for my team going forward. But it gave me a lot of confidence. I saw a lot of good on there, and it's easy to dwell on the bad things that show up on the tape, but it's good to remember the type of player that you are and the ability and potential that you have when you see those good things.
Back and just kind of remove yourself from everything, does that help you as far as the process of rewiring and just resetting?
For sure. I mean, just to be out of here for 48 hours, it felt cool to just decompress and not think about football for a couple of days. Was able to be with my family for a couple of days. So that was really nice. And we know it's a long ride the rest of the season, so I had to take advantage of that time while we did, and I'm glad I did.
Look, he had the bye week, but he's doing a lot of things during the bye week, trying to reset mentally and also get right physically. But Sam, he said, felt okay, expecting to be sore today after throwing for the first time, which is normal. But I want to say, pain is going to happen. Does he have the full range of motion, and does he have the ability to make all the throws with the same velocity that he would without the injury, through a little bit of pain and a little bit of uncomfortable feeling here? And if he can do all that, then he can go out and play. But if there's any stiffness, if there's any lack of range of motion, if there's any hesitation on rearing it back to chuck it 40 yards down the field to Calvin Ridley, then that's something that you have to consider of maybe he's not quite ready. But I think today at practice will be a big opportunity for Will Levis to see, can you go out there and throw a bunch of footballs 2 days in a row?
Yeah, you have to be able to make all the throws, right? So, I mean, maybe he can't throw the ball 60 yards right now, and maybe that's fine, right? If you need a Hail Mary at the end of the game, you put in Mason Rudolph for a snap to throw up a Hail Mary. Cool. I'm good with that. But you do have to be able to throw a go ball to Calvin Ridley and stretch the field. And maybe that's a 35, 40-yard pass and not a 60-yard pass. But either way, Will's going to have to be comfortable doing that. That's not something we saw him do in practice. It's not something we typically would see him do in practice. Airing out deep passes, is just not part of their, individual drill routine. So, yeah, it'll be kind of a day-to-day situation to monitor how Will feels today, how Will looks in pregame warmups. I'm sure people at home will be watching very closely Will Levis on the sideline, where Will Levis goes. I know me sitting in the press box at Nissan Stadium, every time the Titans offense comes off the field, I'm going to be tracking number 8 and figuring out where he's going, who he's talking to, what kind of treatment is he getting, how does he feel, because he's good right now, and I do believe him when he says the pain is low, and it is more of a cosmetic injury than anything. But one hit to the shoulder, anything could change that situation quickly.
Absolutely, yeah. And Will Levis lip reading is now going to be a required skill set for Titans media at home or in the building.
Yeah, which, by the way, going off of what I was saying, the fact that this could change quickly is why they've signed Trevor Siemian, right? I don't believe that Trevor Siemian being signed by the Titans is indicative that Will is not healthy, that Will's not going to be good to go, that they're going to need Siemian to be the backup. I do, however, think he'll get elevated for game day as a third quarterback that they could potentially turn to on the chance that Levis re-aggravate something, re-injure something, has to come out of the game. Well, you don't want to be left with only one quarterback. So Trevor Siemian's their insurance policy, and I think that is a logical thing for the Titans to do. They were the only organization in the entire NFL to not have a third quarterback somewhere within the organization before signing Trevor Siemian.
So, yeah, there you go. Elevate him from the practice squad on the 53 for that day. Probably have him inactive as the emergency quarterback if they have to have that. That would be my guess on that too. All right, let's get to this about a couple comments that Levis said yesterday beyond just the injury stuff that I think had a lot of interesting reaction on the internet after he said it, that I think we have a great opportunity to talk through, including how the Titans are coaching him through some of these catastrophic turnovers. We're going to get to that, but first, Titans have a home game coming up, which means you can have a great new way to get to the football game and get to Nissan Stadium with the Nashville water taxi and the game day water taxi presented by our friends at the Pontoon Saloon. Sam, you and I, right before the season, I guess it was right after that Bears game, went down there to Lock 1 Marina, right off of downtown, just north of downtown on the Cumberland River, and took an easy little ride, about a 15-minute boat ride from the marina down to Nissan Stadium. Did a video concept about that, about how easy and fun that is. If you are looking for a better way to get around downtown and not have to be stuck in a parking nightmare around Nissan Stadium for home games, go to the NashvilleWaterTaxi.com. Click on the game day water taxi. They've been sold out the first 2 home games, and I saw this yesterday. They've added more time slots. So there's more time slots for you to be able to book online at the NashvilleWaterTaxi.com to get parked there at the marina. Take a boat to and from the game. They take you there. They pick you up after the game. And then you're outside of that crazy traffic zone of Nissan Stadium. So the NashvilleWaterTaxi.com is where you should check it out. Right there, presented by our friends at the Pontoon Saloon. So Sam, other comments that Will Levis made that I think are making the rounds on social media, one of them about how he is being coached through some of these catastrophic turnovers. Let's hear from the Titans quarterback.
There's a couple examples that coaches told me that have made me feel a little bit better about myself. I think he said Tom Brady in the AFC Championship threw an identical pick to what I did to Von Miller, to a dropping defensive end. Like, those things happen. Like, things where the vision's not there, someone's in front of you, you don't really see what's going on. And then again, he sent me a clip last night of Burrow trying to throw it away like this on the sideline and it getting picked in his rookie year or something. And he's like, yeah, he turned out to be pretty good. So that was just funny to see those things and knowing it happens to everybody.
So, and we already know that it happened to a lot of people, that it felt like week 5 in the NFL with the Titans on the bye was a bunch of other people trying to compete for the Will Levis meme of the year in the NFL, with Jordan Love throwing a very much Will Levis looking pick 6 in his own end zone, Aaron Rodgers looking like he got murdered by a defender in London, and a lot of other things happened in the NFL that were very memeable with Will Levis on his couch watching it all. How did you take that, Sam? That comment of, I know we got a question to go along with this, but like, what was when you were at the press conference, like taking that in, what was your reaction when you heard that the Titans are showing Will Levis a lot of these other wild mistakes from quarterbacks that turned out to be a Hall of Famer or a very good, highly paid quarterback in the league?
Yeah, interesting, my take on it, because I'll try not to spoil our question here, but one thing that I did find interesting about that comment, so far the discourse regarding Will Levis and all of those examples that you just showed on the screen were things that were happening around the league right now. It was this idea that quarterback play is volatile, especially right now, and guys make mistakes. What I thought was interesting was the fact that Will was talking about watching quarterback tape and mistakes quarterbacks had made in the past. I mean, he's talking about Tom Brady in an AFC championship game. So we're going back to Patriots Tom Brady. We're talking about, and in AFC championship game, Tom Brady. So, I mean, at the earliest, we're looking at 2018, right? For which version of Tom Brady that is. We're talking about rookie Joe Burrow as a guy that is being referred to by Brian Callahan and is having his tape sent to Will Levis as well. So it was interesting that the Titans didn't just focus on what's going on around the NFL in 2024 to show Will Levis that, hey, this is normal, but they're also going back to 5-6 years ago to show their quarterback that, hey, these mistakes happen, and here's other examples of good quarterbacks making the same mistakes. That was kind of an interesting note, because I didn't think that's where Will was going with it when he first started talking about it.
Yeah, because I saw the tweet that went out before I saw the video, right? And the tweet, and it's, again, when you're tweeting a press conference and taking video of the press conference, things tend to get taken very differently from how they were said at the press conference. But I do want to go ahead and ask this question. We'll play the video again because it's a very short video for you guys, but a fair or foul topic here on This Morning. Fair or foul? The Titans showing Will Levis clips of other QB mistakes to build his confidence, because that's where I saw Roy in the chat on Facebook says rebuilding his confidence is what this is about. So is it fair or foul for the Titans to show Will Levis other videos of quarterbacks making mistakes to rebuild his confidence? We'll get to all of your fair or foul answers here in a second. I'll also work on putting up a YouTube poll on this as well. But first, Farm Bureau Health Plans is where you should turn for all of your health coverage needs. If you're looking to have better coverage for a lower rate, Farm Bureau Health Plans is the place for you to go. And you can get a quote by visiting our link, fbhp.com/ATOZ. They've been serving Tennesseans for 78 years. They can help you out as well. Regardless of your family situation or your situation, your age, where you're at in life, what your needs are, Farm Bureau Health Plans can do all the work to help you find the right type of coverage for that right rate to give you what you need and not what you don't need. It's not cookie cutter. It's not just say you get options A, B, and C. It's trying to figure out what's the best thing for you as an individual or for your family situation. They've done that with Zach. They've done that with my parents this past year. They can do that with a bunch of you guys. Get started by checking out their link, our link on their website, fbhp.com/ATOZ.
Today's show powered by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports when you sign up with BetMGM. Get up to $1,500 back in the form of a bonus bet if your first bet misses. That's 2 chances to win big. So whether it's the NFL, college football, we're right in the heart of the Major League Baseball playoffs as well. So if you've got a bet, go to BetMGM. Do it with the bonus code ATOZ Sports for the sportsbook born in Vegas.
All right, Sam, we're going to play the video again, and then I'll send you to the chat. So the fair or foul topic, fair or foul, the Titans showing Will Levis other quarterback mistakes to help him rebuild his confidence. Here's Levis talking through it.
There's a couple examples that coaches told me that have made me feel a little bit better about myself. I think he said Tom Brady in the AFC Championship threw an identical pick to what I did to Von Miller, to a dropping defensive end. Like, those things happen. Like, things where the vision's not there, someone's in front of you, you don't really see what's going on. And then again, he sent me a clip last night of Burrow trying to throw it away like this on the sideline and it getting picked in his rookie year or something. And he's like, yeah, he turned out to be pretty good. So that was just funny to see those things and knowing it happens to everybody.
All right, so Sam, to the chat you go. Fair or foul? What are the people saying on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch? By the way, hit that like button if you haven't already.
Well, Austin, I think our chat maybe is not on Twitter, because the reaction in chat is very different from some of the reaction on the Twitter sphere. I do not see a single foul up to this point. John, Brock, Ashley, Charlie, Titans, Kyle, Mario, Rooney, Darren, Jermel, Patch, Willie, Deborah, Jonathan, Corey, Guy, Stevie, Eric. We got Chris, Jaron, QJ, Daniel, Kenneth, Rashid, William. I mean, literally all fair. Put up a YouTube poll.
I did. The YouTube poll is freshly posted.
All right.
Now, there are some fouls, and I did see Paige on YouTube is a foul. So there's one.
There's one, maybe
one
two. But yeah, not a lot of people thinking this is foul. And I'll say, I agree, right? I think this is fair. I was actually very surprised by the reaction that people had to these comments. I didn't really have an issue with it at all. As a matter of fact, I actually thought it was really cool. I thought this was a great way of coaching by Brian Callahan and the Titans. I think, Will Levis has definitely been judged by his turnovers up to this point in the season. And there have been some bad ones. There have been and not just the careless mistake, like the Chicago pick six or the weird fumble against the Jets, right? The dumb stuff that we know Will Levis can't be doing. I mean, Will Levis is getting roasted for the pick that he threw against the Dolphins when he throws it to a dropping defensive end in coverage. And I didn't really get that at the time. You don't want your quarterback throwing an interception, obviously, but that was a football play. Like, that happens to quarterbacks all the time. And as Will points out, it has happened to Tom Brady in an AFC championship game where a defensive lineman drops. You realize he's dropping, but don't see exactly where he's going. You end up throwing an interception to him. Like, that stuff happens. And so I don't really get the outrage over why over the Titans showing this stuff to Levis. It's important to remind your quarterback, hey man, wipe it. This stuff happens to everybody. It doesn't mean that you're not a good quarterback. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be a good quarterback. And look at some of the best that make some of the same mistakes you do. And what separated them was their ability to wipe it, move on from it, and not make the same mistake twice.
Yeah. And I think because of what happened in Chicago and because of what he did against the Jets in the red zone, it's that everything that doesn't go right for Levis, every mistake, every turnover is now amplified because it's under a magnifying glass, right? Because the flick six and the fumble trying to do way too much when Tajay Spears was right there. We could just take a sack, kick a field goal, go up 10-0. I agree with you. The interception against Miami is like the whole, like, I didn't see him at all, like lip reading is because, and I think I understood that. And Kurt Warner put out a good video breaking down like what he meant by, I didn't see him at all, because not like, did he not see him? He just wasn't expecting him. Which is, I think, is a quarterback language of, yeah, I didn't see that guy. Because I wasn't expecting him is why I didn't see him. It's just a different way of saying it as a quarterback lingo. And so I understood that, why that's the case. It's good defense. It's good defensive scheme. I think it's picking up on tendencies. If you're a defensive coach and defensive coordinator in the NFL right now going up against Will Levis, I think you have a thought, oh, this guy might be going to his pre-snap read a high percentage of the time. How could we take advantage of that by having a down lineman back into one of those quick reads and scoop something up, and it hits him right in the chest, and boom, there you go. So I think that's where I didn't see him at all comes from. He didn't expect him. So when it comes to this topic, I do think it's fair for the Titans to do this because I don't know what else they should do. I think it's very similar to what Mike Vrabel was doing a year ago, was showing all these quarterbacks getting killed by not getting down and protecting themselves, and say, like, this could be you, right? If you keep doing this, you're going to get got. You have to protect yourself, slide, all this kind of stuff. I think it's along the same lines of that. It is Mike Vrabel maybe going with like the fear route more than the like prop a guy up route, because I think they were appropriate for each situation. Like, you don't want Will Levis to be gun shy of throwing the football. So you show the good quarterbacks making the dumb mistakes as a young player, and then you show the guys getting hurt because you want to make sure this guy can live to play another down. So I think it's fair overall. There are a couple comments. Did you have anything to add to that before I get to it?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a healthy coaching balance for me from Brian Callahan. I mean, some of the people who are upset that he's propping his guy up and showing him tape and being like, hey, man, it's okay. Probably some of the same people upset that he's yelling, what the F are you doing on the sidelines after Will Levis makes a bad play against the Jets. I mean, a good coaching balance is a coach like Brian Callahan who's able to look his guy in the eyes and say, what the F are you doing? That's unacceptable. We don't do that stuff. We talked about this. To be clearly frustrated, instill, this is not okay, but then also let him know, hey, we can bounce back from it though. Like, that was not okay, but it can still be okay, big picture. And here's some examples of people doing some similar things. Doesn't mean that, hey, we're going to get careless with the football, but it does mean that we're going to bounce back and maintain our confidence despite having a less than ideal start to the season. Yeah, I think that's good coaching.
Yeah, I think it's like, Mr. Lamb says that we're basically doing public relations for the Titans and Levis. Now, like, I don't think that's the case. I think we have to be realistic and have to be level-headed and logical. Mr. Lamb does have a comment that I think is interesting because Mr. Lamb says, sounds like they're approving his F-up play. Guess next time he's crying on the bench, they'll make a bottle and change his diaper too. Now, Mr. Lamb is obviously going extreme, but the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because I do think on the people that have voted foul, because there are 14% of people that have voted foul in the YouTube poll. So there's some out there. It's not a lot, but there are some that say this is foul. It's maybe because they feel like they are trying to say it's okay, don't worry about it, maybe. And it's something that like the Titans fans that are voting foul on this are sick of it. And don't tell me, don't worry about it. Other guys did it too. It's just don't do it again. I think that is where the foul votes are probably coming from. Does that make sense?
Not fully.
Not fully. I think, and so Shrike adds, there's a difference between liking that they're having to do it versus it being fair for the coaches to do it. I think the people that are saying foul are so frustrated with the repetitive mistakes
Oh, yeah.
from Levis that they don't want to hear anything about it of like, oh yeah, Tom Brady did it. Joe Burrow did it. Jordan Love did it last week. Aaron Rodgers did it last week. They don't want to hear any of that. They just want to see Levis not do it anymore.
Sure. But like, yeah, I get that. Right. But it is like a reality of quarterback play. I thought there was a couple interesting tweets watching the chaos that ensued around the NFL last week where people just kind of said, a lot of these young quarterbacks are all the same guy. They've just got a different dude calling the plays and are wearing different uniforms. And there, I do think, right, not totally true, but there is some truth to that, you know, your quarterbacks who you think are the best quarterbacks in the league or more promising young quarterbacks are susceptible to the same type of stuff Will Levis does, and they do it all the time. His has been heightened by the fact that they haven't been able to run the ball. They've had a really bad offensive line. They haven't won football games. But when you look around the league and you watch the struggles of the Jets offense with Aaron Rodgers, or you watch Jordan Love basically no look throw a pick six from the back of his own end zone facing the goalpost, you know, those are things that are being done by quarterbacks that most people would agree are very good NFL quarterbacks. And so those mistakes do not make it impossible. Like they do not make a guy what he is or is not. And I think that is the point the Titans coaching staff is trying to get across to Will Levis. And that point does matter, whether you're sick of hearing about it or not. Levis's ability to manage this team, to play football that wins them football games, and to continue improving is not prohibited by, you know, a couple of turnovers that he has in the first couple of games.
Yeah. I think the people that are upset with this, to kind of try to understand where they're coming from, is they feel like this could be a way of like coddling a quarterback, right? Like when you have like, oh yeah, give him a bottle and change his diaper, like that they're trying to coddle him by showing him that, hey, it's going to be okay. Look, these guys did it too. Like, but then at the same time, you can't say that they're coddling him because Brian Callahan was shown on national television with a very close-up camera saying, like, what the F are you doing? Like, and like that is the anti-coddle by cussing the guy out in front of everybody. But like, I think it's just trying to find out how can they be productive.
I keep seeing this, by the way, 9 turnovers in 3 games. Number one, it was 4 games. Number two,
3+, yeah. 3 games
but,
in 11.
But one of the turnovers was in not the first 3 games, right?
Sure.
So in 4 games, 9 turnovers. How many of those turnovers are Will Levis's fault?
So it's easier to say which ones that weren't because I can kind of remember those. I think the last interception against Chicago when they were desperate.
I think there's at least 3 that are not his fault.
That's what I was going to get to. I was going to say 3 because the last interception at Chicago, it was desperation. You had to just throw the ball down the field.
Oh, maybe 4 then. Desperation, heave against Chicago, right? 4th and forever, just trying to get the ball out.
Yep.
Interception.
Traylon Burks
drops an interception against the Jets, and 2 strip sacks that he was just one from the blind side against the Bears, and then one where Nicholas Petit-Frere doesn't touch his guy and he gets smoked from straight on. Yeah. So there's 4 of your 9 turnovers in 4 games that I do not put fault on Will Levis whatsoever for.
I think it's between 3 or 4, but I think the problem is that his flick 6 against the Bears created the necessity to have to go desperation interception at the end.
Well, right, but like we've talked about the flick 6. We've talked about why it's a problem.
I think it's the compounding factor of these mistakes is that one mistake put the Titans in a situation where they had to force something and it created another turnover. That is where I believe the fact that he leads the league in the turnovers is nobody's shying away from that. And like David calling us enablers of Will Levis is ridiculous. I don't think Will Levis has been, I mean, he's been bad this year. I don't care if he's put up numbers or not numbers. Has he shown slight improvement through each of the first 3 games? And then he had the Dolphins game. Like, yeah, technically, but he was bad because they lost all those games and he had turnovers to come out of it. The Packers game was the least of his worries because the whole team was bad that day, but he was also not good enough to help the team to win. I'm not trying to enable Will Levis at all. I understand the situation that he has the quarterback for this team this year and that they have to go through the growing pains and the roller coaster ride of what Will Levis is. I'm not enabling it whatsoever. He has been bad. He has to be better. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. So that is not, we're not enabling Will Levis. We have 5 different people that talk about the Titans on, multiple times a week on A to Z Sports.
And we have different opinions. On
all
Will
5
Levis.
of us have very different opinions on the scale. I am the most anti-Will Levis of the 5. Dak is probably next to me. I think I am.
I'm not going to dox somebody, but I think somebody else is a little
You're
bit.
probably talking about Buck. I think Buck rides.
Yeah. But, well, yeah, not
Mr.
anymore.
Politician Buck Rising is right there in the middle. So you can go either way. But anyway, anything else to add on that? Because I have another video that I want to play from Levis.
No, nothing
Okay.
to add. Let's get into it.
All right. So this other video about Will Levis, I think is also getting taken out of context. So there's 2 things here that I want to show and talk to you guys about. It is the first question about the wow throws. I just think is an interesting conversation. The second thing about the guilt is something that I want to expand on because I think people are also taking this the wrong way. Here's Will Levis again yesterday.
Wow throws last year. Brian talked about those coming in as one of the things that made you an attractive guy to inherit. Seems like fewer of those this year. Where do you think they are?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I've had a couple good ones out there, but I feel like at the end of the day, I'm just doing or taking the throws that I have available to me. And I could argue that some of those throws were not necessary last year, and that maybe I had an opportunity to make those dangerous throws this year that I haven't. I feel like that's one of the areas I've improved on the most is just not throwing it into just team meetings and just cloudy windows. And then I would just say I felt like I was throwing the ball the best that I ever was in my entire career. So as of last week, so it wasn't like an ability thing where I feel like I didn't have it anymore. Just feel like the opportunities haven't presented itself, but I know I got it in me. And I know that they'll come.
I would imagine like seeing this team get their first win without you out there, seeing them break the 30-point streak without you out there. Human nature, I would imagine, is like press a little bit, but how do you process it? Like, how do you respond to that, and how do you plan to bounce back?
Yeah, obviously I was ecstatic for us to get that win, but it's like, no matter, or I guess if you have a certain sense of competitiveness in you, like you feel that like guiltiness. Like, why do I feel like I wasn't as much of a part of that win as I would have wished that I was. So it was tough dealing with that for like a day, but just flipping the page, getting ready. Obviously with an injury to deal with now, just focusing on that. But being able to roll from that last win, and like Coach said, we're not relieved. We're not, all of a sudden since we have a win, we're not going to take our foot off the pedal. Like we know what we got in front of us. It's a long road to go, and we just got to keep going.
I think it was a great question by Teron Davenport, and that's the one I want to get into. I think the wow throws.
I think both are very fascinating.
Both are really good. So we're going to dive into both of these things. But first, T-Dot is where you can join T-Dot's campaign to end littering across the state of Tennessee. There's over 88 million pieces of litter on our Tennessee roadways, which is absolutely unacceptable. And T-Dot spends over $23 million every year trying to clean it up. That's a lot of money going out with the problem not really getting that much better. So we can all be a part of the solution to clean up Tennessee and keep Tennessee beautiful, and can change your lifestyle in a couple ways. Just stop littering. It's really easy to just not litter. Just like it's really easy for Will Levis to not do too much in some times to not turn the football over. So just don't litter. Pick up some litter when you see it. Put it in a bin near you. And also you can have you and your family, your kids, maybe looking for some volunteer opportunities to join local cleanups in your area by visiting nobodytrashestennessee.com. That's join local cleanups. They're already organized. All you have to do is find one near you, a date that makes sense. Say, hey, yeah, let's go do this for an hour or so and have a good time. Do something good for the state and the community by visiting nobodytrashestennessee.com.
Today's show powered by BetMGM. It is the sportsbook born in Vegas. Today's a great day to get involved on BetMGM. We have Thursday night football coming up later tonight. 49ers at Seahawks in a fun NFC West battle. And then 2 Major League Baseball games, both in the American League Division Series. Guardians at Tigers, Yankees at Royals. The MLB playoffs have been exciting. All 4 series were split 1-1 at one point. So if you want to get in on the action, I don't know how many of you guys in the chat still have your favorite baseball team in the hunt. So maybe get a little skin in the game by backing one of those teams tonight. Do it on BetMGM. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports and get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. That's the bonus code ATOZ Sports for the sportsbook born in Vegas.
All right, so Sam, I think both of those conversations were fascinating. The lack of wow plays asked by Paul, which is what Brian Callahan said, made Levis attractive to inherit and become the Titans head coach. And it was the big touchdowns that we saw against the Falcons, airing the football down the field, playing with very little fear and playing loose, and it was successful. He hasn't been doing that. Because in one way, it sounds like he's done a better job of taking care of the football. But then in the times that he doesn't take care of the football, the worst case scenario happens, right? Like he's not throwing the football down the field and risking it with those aggressive throws. His completion percentage is up, but we're not seeing the payoff of what made Will Levis attractive to everybody that was following the Titans in 8+9 games as a rookie. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? The wow throws, the lack of seeing those, and how Levis answered that question.
Yeah, I think this is an interesting, more of a Brian Callahan question, to be honest, than a Will Levis question, just in terms of like idea and because this is something Brian Callahan has talked about since he got here, and really since he started to break down this offense and what he's asking out of Will. Callahan had this goal: make Will Levis more efficient by completing more of his passes, and in doing so takes a lot of more underneath checkdowns, gets the ball to running backs, like takes some simpler stuff instead of taking big shots down the field, which I can see the benefit of. And it's a big reason why I think Brian Callahan had success last year with Jake Browning and has been viewed as a positive quarterback guy because he knows how to make life easy for a quarterback to complete passes. Will Levis's completion percentage, like you said, is up 10% from 58.4 to 68.4 in 2024. You look at a game like Green Bay, where the Titans only scored 2 touchdowns, but Will Levis played overall pretty good in that game, I would say. He completed 76.5% of his passes in that game. And yet you're not seeing the explosives outside of, they did actually have a couple of them that Green Bay game, but you're not seeing the explosives you normally see out of Will Levis that create instant offense. You're not seeing those deep bombs to DeAndre Hopkins that took the world by storm in his NFL debut. And so moving forward, one of the more interesting things about this Titans offense is how much do you value efficiency and the number of completed passes, and how does that weigh against letting your quarterback play to his strengths and play like himself? I think Callahan sort of has adopted this mindset of, well, if we make Will's life easy where he completes a high number of his passes, the special throws will happen on their own because he just has the physical ability to do that. I think the counter argument is you are, in your attempt to protect the ball, you're taking away Levis, the thing that makes Levis special. And they need to, I think, get more play action. I think they need to take more shots down the field. In order to do that, they need to pass protect a little bit better, and they need to run the ball more. So it is a full offense thing, but definitely worth monitoring. I think Will Levis at his best is taking more shots.
I agree. I do think more shots need to be taken because it can help bail you out of some spots too. And I think it can also help have the defense back off a little bit because, like, you talk about 76% completion percentage against the Packers. It didn't seem like that because he got sacked 8 times and they were getting the brakes beat off of him and he couldn't have time. And most of the sacks were not on Levis. They were on the offensive line. And
I mean,
ATF
his
took
yards
away.
per attempt is down by a yard. His yards per completion is down by 3.1 yards. He had 12.1 yards per completion as a rookie and over 200 yards per game as a result. This year, he's got 9 yards per completion. So a big dip in that figure. It's more efficient, shorter passes.
Well, I think another stat that proves what we're talking about here is that the top 2 players in receptions on this team are the running backs.
I was about to bring that up as well, because my issue with that, my biggest issue with this. So your yards per completion is down over 3 yards from last year. So you're throwing the ball shorter, and yet you're still not finding a way to get your big money guys involved.
Yeah.
Calvin Ridley's had 1 catch in each of the last 2 games. How does Calvin Ridley have 1 catch if you're intentionally taking some easier passes? Like, there's a little bit of a disconnect. If you're going to take stuff underneath and simplify, that's fine, but do it to the players that get paid to catch the ball and run after, right? Instead of just safety valve check down to Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears all the time. Like, design some simpler stuff to at least get your playmakers involved.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. The other thing about the guilt. So Teron asked the follow-up question. You guys won, but how did it feel, when you were not a part of the win, when you're sitting there watching it? Like, it has to be conflicting. It is kind of paraphrasing Teron's question. And I think Will Levis took some heat for how he answered the question, saying like he had some guilt for not being a part of the win like he expected. I think that's normal. People that are giving heat to Levis, I think that is absolutely normal, Sam. Like you just said, you think it's normal. I think it's normal. He should feel guilty that he wasn't a part of it because his job is to help this team win football games.
And maybe guilt is like the wrong word, because maybe he shouldn't feel guilty, but you should feel some type of way. Like,
I think feeling guilty is the right thing, because like they won without him, and he should be like, man, like,
why are we not winning with me? Like,
yes, I think, that's, and Curtis says ego. I don't think it's ego at all. I think that's more of like responsibility.
I mean, I do think it is a look in the mirror of like, hey, man, like, we've been trying with me playing and we haven't been able to do it. We haven't won, and now I'm not in there and we're winning. And it probably makes him feel a lot of responsibility, which can lead to some guilt. So I can absolutely see where guilt is coming from. I also think in general, like, you're happy for the team. You're happy for your teammates. You're happy that you're going back to a roster now that has a win on the, a 1 in the win column and is back in the race a little bit. But I mean, any real competitor would tell you this would be a bigger problem for me if Will Levis was like, hey, just happy we got a win. That's the Malik Willis answer, right? Is this idea of, hey, I'm happy we lost. But we lost and I played horrible. But hey, I woke up today, so it's a good day. It's like, no, you should not feel that way after the competitor in you needs to be devastated that you just lost. And in the same way, I think the competitor in Will Levis being a little bit upset by the fact that he wasn't out there and wasn't able to participate in the win, is tough. You don't want to leave it. I mean, it would be like if the Titans win the Super Bowl this year. You think Mike Vrabel's going to be like, happy for those guys, man? Yeah, there will be a part of him that's like, hey, good for Jeff, good for Hop,
the interpersonal relationship,
good for the guguys that he worked with. But you're going to be feeling a little salty that they did it without you, like, for sure.
Yeah, but I totally, that's how Vrabel would feel. Like if they make the playoffs, if they have any semblance or remnants of success, then I don't think Will Levis feeling salty. I think people are taking the guilt word too much. Like I saw Gene says the better word would have been humbling, and David agrees that humbling
is a good word too.
Humbling would absolutely work, but like guilt does too. Like I think guilt works as well. Like I just think people are like, this is, I tweeted this segment out and I said, is this Will Levis red flags talking about, not taking the aggressive throw and feeling guilty about the team winning without him? Or is this just overreacting? I think in both sides, there are fans that are overreacting. These should not be viewed as red flags from Will Levis. I think this is now getting a little bit too like parsing of words and word selection in a live press conference where he's not like preparing for questions. I think it was a good question by Paul and a good question by Teron on both topics. And Will Levis was very honest. He felt some guilt that the team won without him. Good. He should, because they were losing with him. And I think that's an appropriate feeling. I think what we talked through with the conservative, take the short completions, up the completion percentages, don't be too aggressive. I think that's, a little bit of like, maybe do they overcorrect by throwing, 25 completions to running backs in the first 4 games? Yeah, probably so. Give the ball to your playmakers. That's what Easton and I talked about a couple days. And I heard Brian Callahan was asked about that again yesterday. So I think they absolutely have to get those guys involved more. So I think both were good, honest answers from Levis.
I'm with you. I'm there.
Cool. All right. I like the same page stuff. All right, let's go ahead and get to this. An injury, interesting injury coming up with the Colts. Wide receiver Michael Pittman out, already ruled out of the game on Sunday. It's a pretty early out ruling for Michael Pittman.
Well, they're
Jr.
talking IR for Pittman.
Yeah, right. So, but they haven't done that yet. So out with a back injury. We'll get this to you guys quick. Big deal, small deal, or no deal. The Colts without Michael Pittman on Sunday versus the Titans, one of their big-time wide receivers. But first, the Bone and Joint Institute is where you should turn for all of your injury situations. They happen in life, just like in football. If you've got a little bad back situation going on and it's affecting the way you work, the way you sleep, the way you live, the way you spend your family time, then go get it checked out with the Bone and Joint Institute. They're located in Franklin, right off of I-65 on Highway 96. They have all the resources and the experts right there under one roof and can make it great for you to get in, get out, and deal with that injury and move on with your life. So don't let that thing linger. Go get it checked out. If you need it, they'll take care of you the way it needs to be with whatever situation your injury is in, and you go book an appointment by using their link, their website, boneandjointtn.org.
Today's show powered by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports when you sign up with BetMGM. Get up to $1,500 back in the form of a bonus bet if your first bet misses. That's double the chances to win big, and that's why you need to do your sports betting this NFL season with the sportsbook born in Vegas, BetMGM and BetMGM.com.
All right, big deal, small deal, or no deal. Michael Pittman already ruled out for the Indianapolis Colts. As Sam, you mentioned, a back injury. They're having the neck. I think it was
neck
a back
injury. I saw neck. IR with a neck injury for him.
They haven't moved him to IR yet, right? But the conversation is that injury reserve could be in his future. So big deal, small deal, or no deal. Michael Pittman out against the Titans. What are you seeing from the chat?
Yeah, we're kind of all over the place with this one. I've seen a little bit of all three. Darren says small deal. I see, big deal from Ashley. Bork says Josh Downs, by the way, has a toe issue. So he's probably on their injury report as well. Big deal from Alex and Mario, Randy, Clayton. Jake says it's a small deal. Corey says small deal. I think it's a big deal from, like I said, Daniel. We got Rooney saying small deal, big deal from Chris and Brad. Jeff says small deal because the Colts spread it out and have depth, unlike the Titans taking shots. TJ says big deal, limits their weapons even further. Eric says big deal, he's their best receiver. Big deal, especially if Jonathan Taylor is also out. A small deal from Willie, a small deal from #QJ, a big deal from Linwood. I think I saw a no deal somewhere recently from somebody just saying that they don't have he's not a Titans killer and he's not sure the Colts have a Titans killer anymore, but a pretty split on big deals, small deal. Austin, where are you at with this?
I think you look at that game the Titans lost in overtime last year where they had the 2 block punts and Ryan Stonehouse injury. I remember the Titans felt like they had that game in the bag before Sean Murphy Bunting let Alec Pierce run down the sideline and get themselves in touchdown scoring range to end that game. So is
Alec Pierce the Titans killer?
I think Alec Pierce might be the Titans killer. And by the way, Alec Pierce is having
an everybody killer.
Yeah, he's pretty good year. But Alec Pierce is averaging 28.3 yards per catch.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Yeah, 28.3. That is stupid. 13 grabs for 368 yards on just 4 incomplete passes his way, 3 touchdowns, which is just ridiculously efficient for how they're airing the ball out to Alec Pierce. So I think without Michael Pittman is a small deal because Alec Pierce is proving to be very good. Josh Downs is proving to be pretty damn good too. Now, Josh Downs is also on the injury report. The Colts have a lot of interesting names on the injury report that we'll maybe talk about more tomorrow morning in length and depth and compare that to the Titans injury situation. But I think for Michael Pittman individually, it's a small deal. It's not a big deal, but a small deal because I think that the Titans' physicality with Snead and Michael Pittman, that's a matchup I would love to watch. I don't know if they have much history of playing against each other in their past, but I would want to watch Snead versus Pittman. We're not going to get a chance to do that this go around, maybe next time. So I'm going to say small deal because the Colts have other guys who can beat you in different ways.
Yeah, I think this is a big deal. Very, very big deal. Yeah, just looking, hey, the Colts have had some receivers. Alec Pierce having a huge year in his receiving yards, 368 receiving yards, which is 140 more, 130 more than Pittman has. But in targets, Pittman is the guy that they go to. He's got 37 targets, which is 11 more than the next most. That belongs to Josh Downs, then A.D. Mitchell at 20 and Alec Pierce at 17. So Michael Pittman is the guy that they like to turn to the most. He's by far the most dynamic, complete receiver on this Colts roster. He's the biggest, most physical receiver on this Colts roster. And so not having Michael Pittman, I think, takes away the safety blanket for either Anthony Richardson or Joe Flacco, whoever the quarterback ends up being for Indy. And then, in addition, allows you to kind of slot everybody down. So now, right, everybody's worried about Josh Downs, but now Josh Downs is dealing with L'Jarius Sneed. I believe L'Jarius Sneed is going to be able to lock up Josh Downs or whoever he's matched up with a lot easier than he would have been Michael Pittman Jr. And if you can now take out Josh Downs and you can take out Michael Pittman Jr. because he's not on the field, you're forcing almost the Colts to rely on those big plays from Alec Pierce. Alec Pierce has had a great year, but Alec Pierce is a one-track guy. He's throw me the deep ball, I'll get you for a 60-yarder. But some of these games, he's a non-factor until he breaks one big catch down the field. He only has 13 catches in 5 games for this team. He averages 2 or 3 catches. So, I think...
And they've all been huge.
Sure. But, this is, and I thought this was a great comp somebody said earlier. It was like Gabe Davis, right? Gabe Davis with the Bills forever. Titans Kyle had the Gabe Davis comparison. Gabe Davis could beat you. He could have a 160 and 2 touchdowns in a game. He could also have 1 catch for 18 yards in a game, and that could be his only impact. But you'd much rather make Gabe Davis beat you than, have to deal with Stephon Diggs all day or have to deal with somebody else, all day. And so, I think Michael Pittman Jr. not playing severely hinders this Colts offense and really takes away some of the versatility that they have on the offensive side of the ball. So I think this is a big deal.
Okay, nice. I say small deal, you say big deal. I like that we were different on that too. I think look, Pittman's good, and you're right. The offense does seem to flow through him with 37 targets. And Josh Downs, I think too, he's only played in 3 games and has 26 targets. So I think Pittman and Downs are the 2 guys that are the 1-2 punch with the Pierce over the top to kind of have that home run. So if you take away one of the 1-2 punches, you're right. It does settle everything else down a little bit. And so maybe the Titans can take advantage of that. So we'll talk more tomorrow about the other injury situations with the Colts, including another day of practice for Will Levis with his shoulder situation, the Colts quarterback situation with Anthony Richardson and Joe Flacco. Jonathan Taylor and Josh Downs are both on the injury report. We'll see if Jonathan Taylor makes a return after missing last week's game with an ankle injury. So there's a lot to get to. But Sam, let's go ahead and wrap up this Thursday show with our favorite, the Magic Bucket. Wilson County Hyundai, WilsonCountyHyundai.com. That's where to go to make them part of your new car buying process. See them in Lebanon. Say, hey, to Pay and Bone for us. While you're there, you're going to save money. You will by going to Wilson County Hyundai, WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Okay, Magic Bucket time. By the way, Easton did a very good job with his Belmont Bruins fight song. Easton Freeze, according to his words, classically trained singer.
Okay.
That's what he said. So this one's going to be for me. the famous one. Man, we need some new magic buckets. I'm gonna have Easton do more homework on some buckets
That's a good one. Yeah, I like that.
because some of these we
I
have
don't
to
know
keep
if I
in-
trust him though. He'll make some bad ones in there. He'll put some.
I'll have to give him some parameters. I did that one as of you. See, now we just have to keep some of these in there because Easton hasn't done a lot of these.
Yeah, right. And he needs the
Yeah.
punishment of having to do some of them.
Favorite appetizer. Man, there's so many slips in here. I have done this one. I don't know if you have.
Okay.
So for sake of time, do you want this to be for you if you haven't done it?
Sure. I mean, yeah, I hadn't done favorite appetizer either, but now, yeah, I'm sure you waited until
this
you
one.
got,
But this is my favorite one because it's just too good comedy. Are you up for it?
Well, if I've done it, yeah, just whatever.
Have
yeah,
you
hit me
made
with
as
it.
many animal noises as you possibly can in 30 seconds?
I think so. Yeah.
Damn it. Okay. So you haven't done the appetizer one. So for the sake of time, because I have a meeting in 12 minutes, what's the best appetizer out there, Sam?
Fried calamari.
That's the one you're going with.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna go with. I thought about mozzarella sticks. Mozzarella sticks were an absolute contender. Does soup count as an appetizer? No, right?
Maybe.
Like a starter soup.
Yeah.
Can I do that?
Maybe.
So I'm gonna go calamari is like my traditional appetizer on a menu. But if we're going soup, I don't know if you can beat a French onion soup at all. I'm not a bloomin' onion guy or like a onion rings guy. Mozzarella sticks are solid. I like fried pickles. But it doesn't get better than the fried calamari or a French onion soup.
Okay. I just pulled one that I have done before, but it's been a while. And I think it does have entertainment value. And it kind of is relevant to what happened early on in last night's Survivor episode.
Okay.
I have to rap the first verse of Lose Yourself by
Oh,
Eminem.
yeah. See, I've wanted to do that one forever.
Did I do this with you the first
Yes,
time?
I remember you doing this.
Should I do it again or should I keep pulling?
You do whatever your heart desires. Give it
Okay.
2 more pulls, and if you don't find one that you've done, we'll go back to Lose Yourself.
Sunglasses on the show. Done that. Bar on Broadway. I've done that.
All right.
So
I think you just really wanted to do the Lose Yourself.
I mean, I literally, you said 2 more pulls and I did it. So,
Fair.
let me just pull up the lyrics just to have them.
You shouldn't need the lyrics.
I don't think I need them. But I'll have them anyway. All right, starts with yo. All right, here we go. No music, just straight up cold.
Yo.
Yo, his palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. There's vomit on his sweater already. Mom's spaghetti. He's nervous, but on the surface, he looks calm and ready to drop bombs. But he keeps on forgetting what he wrote down. The whole crowd goes so loud. He opens his mouth, but the words won't come out. He's choking. How? Everybody's joking now. The clock's run out. Time's up. Over. Plow. Snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Oh, there goes rabbit. He choked, so mad, but he won't give up. That is he know. He won't have it. He knows the whole back's the ropes. He won't matter. He's dope. He knows that he's broke. There's no stagnant. He knows. Oh, that's his. I can't breathe that fast. Is that good enough?
Sure.
It's pretty hard to get once you get deeper.
Yeah,
into
there's
that verse. It's a long one.
there's a bit of a weird cadence there.
I should have stopped after blow.
No, the next part's like the best part.
I know. Snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. All right. Well, that's the magic bucket.
There you go.
Ain't you? That's
Hey.
fine.
I don't know how people felt about that, but you gotta breathe. You gotta breathe, man.
Yo, yeah, I don't know how to do that. I'm not.
Yeah, I like this guy. He's choking.
Stizzy is a rapper, by the way.
Oh, good for Stizzy.
Yeah, there you go. Rap is hard. Yes, it is. Okay. That's it. I think I did better the first go around at that than I did just now, but that's okay. That'll be it for us on this Thursday. We'll be back tomorrow for a Friday show to send us to the weekend for another Titans game after the bye week. Make sure you hit that like button, like the show on Facebook and on YouTube. And we'll catch you guys later on. Buck Rising live tonight for A to Z Sports Primetime. And we'll see you tomorrow morning on a Friday. Appreciate it as always.